Face needs a great heel to work with. After all, what is Batman without the Joker, or Sherlock Holmes without Dr. Moriarty? And this is true in WWE too, as there always has to be a great heel on the roster to challenge the top hero. But just who was the best heel from every year of the 21st century? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be looking at right now, starting with the best of 2000.
I'm going to tell you who the best heels of all time right now. I'm going to tell you the best heels of all time right now. Randy Orton, Edge, Triple H. Those are my 3 best heels of all time, bruh. Kane too. Those 4 best heels of all time.
Triple H.
Triple H.
Yes, back at the start of the new millennium, there was no stronger heel in the WWF than The Game. And the reason for that was because this was when he began his role as an authority figure. At that point, though, he wasn't portrayed as the more benevolent figure he's seen as today. Rather, he was played in a way which showed him to be a megalomaniacal villain who was desperate to keep the world title around his waist at all costs. Obviously, then, this meant abusing his power at every opportunity, and that made him a great final boss to be taken down this year. But what about
You know, I've been watching WWE. I've been watching WWE for so long now, bro. It's crazy.
2001. Well, that year, the title of greatest heel in WWE.
Give me your top 5 right now. Give me Malcolm, Fabu. Give me your top 5 right now, Fabu. Give me your top 5 heels of all time right now. How he's not 3. Triple H not 3.
WWF would move over to another person, none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, we know this wasn't a heel turn, which was well received in the moment, and it's one.
Stone Cold was a good heel. He just was too funny with it, bro. I couldn't see him as a heel, bro. He's just too funny.
Which has largely been credited with ending the boom period of the turn of the millennium period. But there was a lot of great things about it too, as if you go back and watch it now, seeing the Rattlesnake as that paranoid madman he was back then is very entertaining to watch. Seriously, how could you not be entertained seeing him do things like try to serenade Vince McMahon with his acoustic guitar or get into schoolyard scuffles with Kurt Angle? All of this is to say then, even if history hasn't looked back on it as fondly, Stone Cold was the best heel inside a WWF ring back in 2001.
Hell yeah.
So with that said,
I watched the whole 2001. I watched the whole 2001 SmackDown on Peacock. I had to.
Let's move over to 2002 next, where our best heel of this year has to be Kurt Angle. That's right, after narrowly missing out on the...
Bruh, the WrestleMania match in 2001, bro, with him and The Rock, bro. I had to watch it. I watched the whole pay-per-view list. Everything they had to offer in 2001, I had to watch it.
Spot in 2001, 2002 saw the Olympic gold medalist
rise to the top
of the pile in terms of heels, as this was the year that, following the first brand split, he became a key part of the SmackDown 6, probably the primary villain of that sextet.
I'm forgetting a whole bunch of wrestlers,
and this put him in a great position because with a wealth of top baby faces to work with, he was able to make a stamp in the company in a way he hadn't been able to do even during his rookie year.
I'm forgetting a whole bunch of heels.
This was the year Kurt lost his hair during a match with Edge and had Mad Classics with the likes of Eddie Guerrero, all while keeping up his heel persona. But what of 2003? Well, that year, the best heel title would move away from Angle and over to The Rock instead. Come on now, how could we go with anyone else here? After all, 2003 was the year of Hollywood Rock, arguably the greatest incarnation of Dwayne Johnson. That's right, coming out to the ring and serenading us all with his trademark rock concerts, all while he was feuding with people such as Bill Goldberg and Steve Austin. This might be the peak of the Rock character overall. And if you need any further evidence of how heelish he was here, he retired the Rattlesnake at WrestleMania 19, taking away the biggest babyface fans had back then. Sure, it might have only lasted through the spring, but Hollywood Rock remains an all-time heel. Come 2004, though, that mantle of top heel would have moved over to our...
But when it comes like the heels, in my opinion, bruh, I gotta give it to The Miz, bruh. The Miz been a heel all his life, bruh. But it's like a little documentary about like all the heels and shit. But go watch that shit. Go see.
Next subject instead, JBL. Now this is one you really had to be there for because it's impossible to overstate just how much people hated JBL in the moment. After all, this was someone who had up until then been a career mid-carder and was now suddenly being given the top prize in the entire company. As you would expect then, this did not exactly endear the Texan towards fans.
Hey, I remember JBL in that border shit.
And the hatred he received for this was only furthered by the fact that he would be playing his J.R. Ewing-inspired tycoon up to the hills at any and every opportunity. Yes, back in 2004, John Bradshaw Layfield was the peak of what a villain could be in WWE, and for that reason, we can't go with any other option for the best heel of this year. Okay. That said, we can for 2005, and the best heel of this year has to be Edge.
Yup.
What made Edge such an effective heel in 2005? Well, after news leaked out to the public that
Bro, 2005 Raw. Go watch that. Go watch the 2005 Raw, bruh. That heel run, bruh. And Matt Hardy coming back because, bro. No, bro. When Matt Hardy came back for Edge, bruh. Matt Hardy was not playing around with that boy Edge, bruh. Bruh.
Adam Copeland had been having a real-life relationship with Lita, then girlfriend of Matt Hardy. It instantly turned the Canadian into the most disliked man in the industry. So doing all he could here then, he leaned into the hatred by morphing into the rated R superstar. The top heel on either of the two brands WWE had at the time. So over would this get him as a villain? In fact, it would be here he became the first ever Mr. Money in the Bank. And it was that contract which also allowed him to carry over into 2006 as the best heel of that year too, as it happens. Why is that? Well, January of 2006 was when Edge chose to cash in his Money in the Bank contract on a prone John Cena and steal the WWE title away from him briefly.
I know Matt ain't all that. I'm talking about like when he came back, like around this time, 2005, bro, because of Lita cheating on him with Edge. That shit was crazy. Man ain't all that. I'm just saying around this time.
This only got him even more over as a villain, and in one fell swoop, truly rocketed him up to the main event scene. Sure, there were other great bad guys in WWE at that point too, but back in 2006, none of them were on the level of the rated R superstar. But what about 2007?
Venture out.
Well, that year, we got a different kind of heel, as this was the year of Vince McMahon himself. Yes, that's right, 2007 was the year Vince McMahon headed into WrestleMania 23 as arguably the top heel on the show, as this was when he was standing in the corner of Umaga during the Battle of the Billionaires. And while he didn't actually wrestle here, the night would end with him getting his head shaved in the middle of the ring. But that wouldn't be the last we saw of the boss in 2007, as, once he was newly bald, he continued to take out his frustrations on the audience by feuding with the likes of Bobby Lashley over the WWE ECW title. But let's move away from that year for now and over to the following year instead, as in terms of bad guys, 2008 would be the year of Chris Jericho. Yes, 2008 was the year Jericho.
Y2J, man. Raw is Jericho, nigga. The list, nigga. What y'all know about that? What y'all know about Jericho?
Returned with an all-new character, his suit and tie-clad villain who always spoke softly and purposefully in the same manner as Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. Yes, this was a true high watermark for him as a heel, and it's one which gave us that absolutely great feud between he and Shawn Michaels throughout the summer and autumn. In fact, this one could have very easily continued to be the best villain for years to come under slightly different circumstances. But alas, by the time 2009 came around, things had changed.
This is my favorite heel of all time, Chad. This is the greatest heel, in my opinion, my nigga. Him and The Miz, bro. I don't know who rank it, bro. I might have Randy Orton over this man, The Miz, bro. As greatest heel of all time, bro. 2009, bro. Randy Orton in 2009 was straight menace, bro. Kissing Stephanie McMahon. Punk kicking Vince McMahon in the fucking head, bro. Come on, cuz. Come on. Come on, bro.
Slightly, and there was an even better heel walking through the halls of WWE. Our next entry, Randy Orton. What happened in 2009 to suddenly turn Randy Orton into the best heel in all of WWE? After all, prior to this, he'd been a good villain for sure, and even a good babyface on occasion, but never someone who felt like he was at the absolute top of the pile. This was when he began feuding with his old friend and foe Triple H again, and in the process, he kickstarted the Age of Orton. That's right. This was the year of the Viper's intermittent explosive disorder, as he picked off the McMahons one by one, all en route towards heading into the WrestleMania 25 main event for his showdown with The Game. Sure, he would lose this one in the end, but that didn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things, as even after he did, Randy's heel work remained strong, so strong that he continued to be the top villain of the final year of the 2000s. But what of the new decade? Who would make their stamp as the top villain when 2010 came around and it felt like a whole fresh slate had been laid down in WWE?
2010
Well, for our money, that award would have to go to the leader of the Nexus, Wade Barrett. Now, we know the Nexus didn't exactly end up meeting expectations, as after looking like they were going to be the second coming of the NWO on night one, they instead turned out to be more NWO 2000. But none of that can take away from how effective they were during their initial hostile takeover of Raw. And right there at the helm when they were doing this was the man leading the charge, the one calling all the plays for his minions, Wade Barrett. For this reason alone, then, we have to consider Barrett to be the best heel of 2010. Hell, that's exactly why he would spend much of the autumn locked in a feud with John Cena, with this alone pretty much making him the top heel by default, as Big Match John was easily still the top babyface then. That said, by the time 2011 came around, he would no longer be the top bad guy in WWE. No, by that point, the Nexus had fizzled out, and we moved on to another act instead, someone who started the year as WWE Champion following a Money in the Bank cash-in, The Miz. That's right, this was a great year for Mike Mizanin, as he also went into the main event of WrestleMania against the biggest babyface in the promotion, John Cena. And not only did he hold his own here, he retained his gold. Sure, Mike Mizanin might have been a third wheel in the larger Cena-Rock storyline, but he still became one of the very few heels to ever retain in the closer of the Showcase of the Immortals, and that alone earns him a spot in today's video. And we've not even talked about his run as part of the Awesome Truth, which happened that autumn, another underrated spell from the Ohio native, as it put him right back in the main event scene post eventually dropping the top prize in the company to Big Match John. It's hard not to look back on 2011 overall and see it as a high watermark for The Miz. But what of 2012? Well, by then, a whole new top heel act would have risen to the forefront. One who started off as a beloved babyface, but then earned the ire of fans with his actions. Who are we talking about here? Why, CM Punk, of course. Now, 2011 really was the big year for CM Punk, as that was when his pipe bomb promo turned him into the most talked about man in the wrestling industry for a while there. But throughout that period, he was very much positioned as the babyface trying to overcome the Authority. Come 2012, however, with his WWE title run still going, he'd decide to freshen things up by turning heel right in the middle of it. That's right, going from hero to villain in one fell swoop, Punk gave himself a whole new list of challengers to work with here. And no matter who came up against him, he always managed to walk out of the match with the gold still around his waist. So really, there's no way we couldn't consider him the best heel of 2012, as he was literally the heel world champion for the entirety of the calendar year. But what of 2013? Well, when it comes to that year, we have one choice for top bad guy in WWE, and it's CM Punk again. Yes, we're doubling up here because, while he did spend the majority of the year as a babyface post-return from hiatus in late spring, Phil Brooks started out 2013 still very much a heel and still very much WWE champion. And with this title run by then reaching 434 days in length, it was starting to be etched into history as the longest of the modern day in WWE at the time. Who would Punk defend against as the year began? Well, this would be The Rock, and that would take the Second City Saint to a whole new level of status again. Sure, The Rock may have beaten Phil for the title, but this didn't stop him from spending a couple of months continuing to feud with the Great One anyway after the fact. And once that was over, he would move right into another peak when he challenged The Undertaker in his undefeated streak at WrestleMania 29. Alas, though, like with his Dwayne Johnson feud, Punk would come out of this one the loser.
Introducing Grammarly, like you've never seen before. Your all-in-one writing essential.
But even then, he'd still made his case for the strongest heel WWE had in 2013, just based on those two programs alone. So with that said, let's move over to 2014, a year in which the Second City Saint would not be able to three-peat on account of him walking out on the company in January. No, when it comes to the best heel of 2014, this one has to go to the game himself, Triple H.
The Authority, bruh. I never hated a group so much in my life. Bro. I think this is the most I hated Triple H. Bro, I wanted to jump through the TV and really put my hands on Triple H, bro. I did not like Triple H at all. Him and Stephanie, bro. I wanted to go to a match and jump over that barricade and go in this shit so bad, bro. Y'all don't understand how much I did not like Triple H in 2014.
That's right. 14 years after he was the best heel WWE had in 2000, Paul Levesque was at it again. And what makes things even more impressive for this go-around is that he wasn't even a full-time wrestler by then. No, come the mid-2010s, the game was very much a full-time authority figure. That said, he would still hit the ring.
I did not like Triple H. Like, bro.
from time to time, and this made him the perfect foil for Daniel Bryan to have to overcome in the lead up to WrestleMania 30, and as all anyone wanted to see heading into this show was the American Dream.
I know, bro. But it's heel. He's a heel. You got that's why he's top. That's why he's top up there, bro. He's a heel. He did it. He did it too good. He made you really hate him. Look, he made you really hate him. That's why he's not your top 3. You did not like Triple H.
Dragon coming out on top. But even when Triple H fell to Bryan at WrestleMania and gave him a clear path toward winning the top prize later that evening, he didn't stop being a thorn in the side of the babyface roster. No, throughout the rest of the year, as leader of the Authority, he'd constantly make life a living hell for...
When this nigga Sting came back, God, I was so fucking happy. Bro, every time, bro, I had to tune in every time, bro. Sting was there, bro. I had to tune in, bro. You just hear them crows. Come, bro, you just know it's about to be a banger.
Any good guys on either Raw or SmackDown. Hell, at one point, he'd even
This nigga Seth Rollins, bro. This nigga fucking Seth fucking Rollins. I hated his guts. I hate him to this day, bro. To this day. I do not like Seth Rollins, bro. I don't like him. He gets me so mad, bro. I don't want to see his face. I don't like Seth Rollins, bro. What he did to the Shield, bro. I never forgive him after that, bro. I don't care how good Seth Rollins is in the ring, bro. I will always hope he lose. I don't like Seth Rollins, bro. I will never like Seth Rollins, bro.
Contribute greatly toward the downfall of the Shield when he convinced Seth Rollins to betray his brothers Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns and instead throw his chips in with the bad guys. And as it happened, it would be that move which eventually led to Seth Rollins becoming the top heel of 2015 in WWE. Now, we know he was already a great villain the year prior, but what made Seth stand out all the more in 2015 was that this was the year he committed the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31 when he cashed in his Money in the Bank.
This is my most hated WrestleMania of all fucking time, my nigga. I don't like this WrestleMania. Why are you coming down the ramp and stopping Roman Reigns from winning his championship? Huh?
Contract right in the middle of the main event.
This is not a great. I will not count this as the greatest cash-in of all time. No.
Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And once he did that, it was an easy path.
Edge holds that.
Path toward him walking out as WWE champion. Needless to say then, with the Authority by his side, Seth was able to spend the vast majority of the year as the top dog in the entire company, all while he was continuing to draw massive heel heat everywhere he went. So there's no way we could ever consider anyone else as the best villain of that 12-month period then. Now, when it comes down to it, 2015 was the year of heel Seth Rollins, just as 2016 would end up being the year of heel AJ Styles. Of course, in hindsight, it's easy to say it was always clear that AJ Styles was going to be a megastar as a heel in WWE. After all, his work in Japan as the leader of the Bullet Club proved how good he was in this role. But when he first joined WWE, there were a lot of concerns that Vince McMahon just wouldn't know what to do with him. Thankfully, though, after a ropey first couple of months, the phenomenal one soon settled into his role after two great feuds, the first of which saw him go up against Roman Reigns, and the second of which saw him turn heel on John Cena. And after coming out on top in that latter feud, Styles would go on to dethrone Dean Ambrose as WWE champion just 1 month later, with this putting the button on how great a year he was having. So for these reasons, he's the clear top heel of 2016. Need to come back, bruh. But what about 2017? Well,
I didn't like Jinder Mahal either, bro.
Barry here from the Wick Studio team.
I'm like,
that would go to.
They gave this nigga a championship.
Surprising.
They gave Jinder Mahal a championship, my nigga. What was going on? Who would give Jinder Mahal a championship? But I ain't gonna lie, bro. When Jinder Mahal came on the show, bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I kind of quit it off, bro. I wasn't paying attention, bro. I was right on my phone.
Person in our next entry, Jinder Mahal. Yes, this was something no one would have seen coming as the year was getting started, with the main reason for this being that for a decade or so prior, Jinder Mahal had been...
This man was a member of a 3MB, 3-man band. That garbage-ass group.
treated like a complete jobber. However, after randomly winning a #1 contendership match on an episode of SmackDown, Mahal found himself challenging Randy Orton for the WWE title.
This nigga beat Randy fucking Orton. I think, bro, I ain't gonna lie, this is one of Randy Orton's worst loss of all time. He lost to Jinder Mahal! Who loses to Jinder Mahal? My God.
Just challenging him, but beating him. That's right, it was one of the biggest upsets in WWE history, and one which instantly rocketed Jinder up to the top of the card as the primary heel in the entire promotion, if only for a little while. Sure, by the time the autumn was over, the Canadian would be right back to square one, but for 2017 at least, he could call himself WWE's #1 bad guy. And that's something which will never be able to be taken away from
finisher too.
But who would take that mantle in 2018?
I'm kicking out of that shit.
Well, that would go to an NXT superstar, someone who was riding high there by then,
someone
by the name of Tommaso Ciampa. Now, if you were watching NXT during the glory days of the black and gold era, then you'll remember this one all too well, as it was probably to this day the greatest feud that brand ever put on. The long-term war between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And by playing the heel in this equation, Ciampa was able to raise his stock massively.
These niggas are NXT legends right here,
in fact, in 2018,
Johnny Gargano
possibly the best heel in the entire wrestling industry. Someone who was operating at a level no one else was. Seriously.
NXT legends right here, bruh. And they went on to the big, but they moved them up, bruh, and they're not doing nothing with these people, bruh. They got them in a tag team. These are the, bro, they could be the future of WWE, what they got going on right now, my boy. I don't know what they got going on with these people, bro. Like, no, why, they got injured or something? Why they got them guys mid-card, bro? These are not mid-card wrestlers, bro. And when they released Adam Cole, bro, I'm like, what the fuck they got going on? They released Adam Cole and Keith Lee. I'm like, yeah, WWE finished. I'm like, WWE got it. WWE finished. Why would they release these two niggas? Adam Cole and Keith Lee.
The heat he would get every time he came out through the curtain at Full Sail University was outrageous. And this only got worse once he was able to beat Aleister Black for the NXT title in the summer. Yes, people remember this to be the high watermark of the developmental brand for a reason. And while part of that reason has to go down to the work of Johnny Wrestling, an equal part has to go down to the excellent heel character the Blackheart gave us. Come 2019, though, it would be back up to the main roster for the best heel of the year, as 2019 would be the year of Daniel Bryan. Sure, it might have seemed crazy in the moment to take one of your biggest babyface stars, someone who had just miraculously returned from a career-ending injury,
after Dustin, it might be
only 6 months after he laced up his boots again, as WWE did with the American Dragon in late 2018. But this ultimately worked out in the end, as it gave us his excellent 2019 run as the Planet's champion.
TKO took over, but WWE ain't the same. I ain't glad that
rise to incredible heights by the time WrestleMania 35 came around. In fact, it was here that 5 years after fans had hijacked the showcase of the Immortals on his behalf, Bryan was able to flip the script.
With TKO, it's repetitive. You know what's about to happen. Like, you really predict what's about to happen. Like, it's too easy to
and have people hate him and be desperate to see him lose to Kofi Kingston. Yes,
I want to be so much Bryan. I know what's about to be done.
This his proudest moment in WWE, and it's because his heel work here was so strong and so effective in getting Kofi over that final hurdle. By the time 2020 came around, however, the wrestling landscape and the landscape of the world as a whole would be very different. Luckily then, it was during this year that we got the rise of an all-new heel force in the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns.
Had nothing to do.
Yes, there were a lot of factors which went into WWE getting hot again during the early to mid-2020s. Part of it was Cody Rhodes returning. Part of it was Triple H taking over as head booker. But possibly the biggest part of all was Roman Reigns developing his Tribal Chief character. And it was in 2020 that he did this, as after taking a sabbatical from the ring and allegedly refusing to return again unless he be allowed to tap into his dark side, he came back at SummerSlam
is that a him or Stone Cold
ready to form a bloodline around him. Almost immediately then, Roman went from being considered a modern-day...
When I tell you, there was, bro, they hated Roman Reigns. Everybody was hating on Roman Reigns before his OTC shit. I was always a Roman Reigns fan, my nigga. I never switched up on Roman Reigns. Nobody liked him. I was a Roman Reigns fan. I never switched up on that man.
Lex Luger, someone who was failing to get over in his role as top guy, to more of a modern-day John Cena, a true top star of the promotion. And none of that happens if he doesn't turn heel here. Hell, so successful would this turn be, it would also make him the top heel of 2021 as well. Come on now, by the time 2021 came around, it was very clear that Roman Reigns was going to be the top heel in WWE for a while yet, as by this point his Tribal Chief character was really starting to pick up speed. After all, it was here that he fully solidified the bloodline of Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman around.
I ain't gonna lie. When these two unified the tag team champion, when they both on the both, I ain't gonna lie. They're not the only ones to unify the tag team champions. The tag team championship. I'm pretty sure The Miz did it too, right? The Miz did it too. Am I tripping? I'm pretty sure The Miz did it too. I think The Miz and Carlito did it.
Him. And it was also here that he began teasing another member in the honorary Uso, Sami Zayn. Hell, it was here that he ran through just about every big babyface on the roster, with him making particularly good use of his heel powers at WrestleMania 37 when he stacked and pinned both Edge and Daniel Bryan on the main event of Night 2. So it really should come as no surprise to learn that he'd be the dominating villain throughout this 12-month period, just as he would continue to be the dominating villain into 2022 as well. That's right, as
when Edge came back in Royal Rumble, not the recent one, the older one. I forgot what year it was. That's my favorite return.
The new decade fully got going. Roman Reigns remained the top heel in all
top
of
10 returns of all
WWE.
time.
But then how could it be any different when this was the year he unified the WWE and Universal titles to become undisputed WWE Universal Champion? Really, by that point, there was absolutely no question as to who the top dog was in WWE. It didn't matter who stepped to him. Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, they all fell to his might. And it was in 2022 where Roman Reigns further bolstered his ranks by adding Solo Sikoa to the bloodline, something which only made his victories all the more assured whenever it came time for the bell to ring. Honestly, in every way here, he was the final boss of the company and the all-conquering bad guy everyone wanted to bring down. But no one could bring him down. No, as WWE's hot streak fully got going, he'd be the guy with all the gold around his waist. And this meant that heading into 2023, he'd continue to be the guy with all the gold and all the power, with this making him the top heel of that year too. Yes, just when people thought the reign of the Tribal Chief was over, he'd continue on for another year.
Hey, I'm glad I don't have to control that Nightbot shit.
Elimination Chamber in Montreal and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39, it felt like there was no one left to even challenge Roman anymore.
I need to do more research.
The only question left at this point was, could anyone ever beat him for that title? And if they could, would someone then come and claim his spot as the top villain in all of WWE? Well, the answers to those questions would be yes, as it turned out, because in 2024, after finally losing to Cody Rhodes, Roman would find himself.
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't want Reigns to lose. I don't want Reigns to lose. That shit was too, bro. He could not beat the fuck out of us. I already knew he was gonna lose, bro. I already knew he was gonna lose. It was inevitable. I ain't glad, but that WrestleMania, that WrestleMania was so good, bro. Good matches, bro. It was top tier WrestleMania. I ain't gonna lie, shit, right? It is up there. It's up there. That WrestleMania is up there, bro. Can't lie. But it was one return during that match. That was not even the reason it was supposed to happen. It was not supposed to be Undertaker. It was supposed to be Stone Cold fucking Steve Austin.
Being usurped as the #1 heel by none other than Dominic Mysterio. Sure, the heel turn might have happened in 2022 and it might have carried on all the way through 2023. It was really in 2024 that Dirty Dom fully established himself as a top heel in WWE. And the way he did this was by dropping his mommy in Rhea Ripley and instead aligning himself with Liv Morgan. That's right, while Dom and Rhea were always quasi-babyface on account of just how much fans loved them together, there was no such issue with Dom and Liv, and this allowed him to overtake the Tribal Chief during the mid-2020s. Such a strong heel would Mysterio be all throughout 2024, even others like Gunther, Solo Sikoa, and the mighty Drew McIntyre couldn't touch him. No, Dirty Dom was in a league of his own here, a league which he wouldn't be booted out of until 2025, and a new top villain came along. Who are we talking about this time? Who else but John Cena? Yes, John Cena's heel run has been divisive amongst many fans, with some considering it to be a bit of a disappointment, but there are others who have enjoyed it. After all, it is the mythical John Cena heel turn people have been talking about for.
The heel turn could have been a little bit better. I think this heel turn could have been a little bit better, bro. Because he still had the color shirts. This heel turn could have been way better than what it was.
Decades now, and one they never got for so long. But it's undeniable that the initial turn, which happened at Elimination Chamber earlier this year, was an all-timer. And you went to run the gauntlet of old foes like Randy Orton and CM Punk throughout his retirement year, all while playing the role of the bad guy instead of the top babyface, which he normally does. It's been a special sight to witness. Sure, we do expect him to turn face again before he hangs up his boots, but even if that happens, he'll remain worthy of a spot in today's video, just as everyone else we've looked at today.